you love? What drives you? What's your passion? Whether you're catching waves, climbing mountains, or playing with the grandkids, the choices you make now can help you keep living your life your way. At Hawai'i Pacific Health, we're here to help you live healthier with preventive care and a personalized approach. Learn more at hawaiipacifichealth.org/healthierlife.
The Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. And it's just me for now in studio because the guys apparently love to keep me on my feet and on my toes and make sure that I can still do all of these things that we do. So we are live on YouTube, and Paul Brecht is actually on the road. He is going to watch his Jets later on today for Monday Night Football. So we are cheering for them to win as they take on the San Francisco 49ers in San Fran. And so that's where Paul is. And Michael, of course, having the long commute here into Kalihi, is still stuck in traffic. So Michael will be here soon. But for now, you got your girl over here. So hi on YouTube, live on the radio. And this is how, the magic happens. Everyone watching it on YouTube. So it's just me in studio, rocking and rolling, doing all of it. So all of my other ladies out there, take notes that women can do it all. So this is just a testament, and we can rocking and rolling. So don't worry. But the guys will be here, or Michael will be here in just a little bit, as we have a lot to get into today, because it always helps when you have the rest of your team in here. We'll get into some NFL in just a little bit, of course, and then we will talk some college football, a lot of interesting outcomes in the college football landscape that happened as well. Definitely get into some Rainbow Wahine volleyball, as they came out with a split with Pepperdine over the weekend. And yeah, just a bunch of stuff. We'll also get into some high school football and let you hear from one of the players of the games that we did. So it's a lot. We're going live from 8 to 10 right here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and on our YouTube channel. So hello once again. Good morning to everyone watching on YouTube, whether you're here in Hawaii or you are all across the continent, because I know we have some listeners as well. We appreciate you guys. And mahalo for liking and subscribing. And yep, this show every Monday on our YouTube channel. It's a little, I got my adrenaline going and everything like that. This is the first time I've manned the board before by myself multiple times, but this is definitely the first time I've done it with the YouTube show as well. So I just got the blood flowing already. So I'm ready to go on this Monday morning, and I hope you guys are too. We're going to have a lot of fun today, and things might get a little weird because it was a crazy weekend. Hold on as I check my levels. This is why you need two people, because this is what I got to do, is check the levels at the same time, because it doesn't look like it's as high, but oh well, we're going with it. Okay. So over the weekend, though, before we get into football, I just wanted to give a shout out. And since I have the product here and I'm in front of the camera, which is pretty cool, yesterday we were out at the Les Murakami Stadium. The student athletes for UH had they have an annual barbecue thing. And it was this huge surprise. I posted about it yesterday. I posted about it earlier in the week when the truck arrived, but I posted about it yesterday that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had actually his skincare line. I didn't even know he had a skincare line, but he has one, and they have a partnership now with the University of Hawaii and an NIL partnership with the student athletes, where all of the student athletes yesterday, I was able to help pass out this new skincare line. It's called Papa Tui. So there's body wash and some deodorant and everything. And it is marketed as the men's type of brand thing. I totally feel like a YouTube influencer right now because I'm putting it in front of the camera. But it's usually marketed as a men's skincare. So a lot of the women's student athletes were coming up to trade because there was a lush coconut flavor. So we were able to switch out some of those for the female student athletes, which was really funny because kudos to them for catching on. This is the first time I've seen the product. It's actually really cool. They also have a, right here in studio, I have the body wash and the deodorant, but they also have a tattoo lotion or tattoo balm. So you put it on the tattoos And yeah, it's supposed to like make it vibrant. We'll post the video later because we had a UH associate head coach for football, Chris Brown, kind of be our test subject because obviously he has a lot of tattoos. And he was a really good test subject, so be sure to stick around for that post as well. But all right, getting into football, obviously, you know the game that mattered to me the most, the Chicago Bears. Thank you very much for stressing me out like a crazy person yesterday morning, getting my football Sunday started. And as Michael does the walk of shame in studio, that's now perfect timing so he can just sit there and listen to me talk about the Chicago Bears because they, you guys, he seriously does have like a, I need to put this on camera there. Michael, he even cut like you guys on YouTube are getting a treat right now because he's walking in with his he is wearing his Rams thing, but he has like a bag over his head with the, I love that you actually went through the trouble of like cutting out like holes for his like face and stuff. So it's the walk. Not only is it the walk of shame, but for that, but also pass me that ticket right there, Michael. Pass me that ticket. Here we go. So he not only is he the walk of shame for that, but he is also the walk of shame for this, our ticket that we put in, our team ticket. I thought it would be the Chicago Bears or Paul's New York Jets. We'll see what happens with the Jets, just so we know if we can only blame Michael for the loss of this parlay ticket, as we are going to rip it up now because the parlay was the Bears money line, the Rams plus 3.5, that we will get to that crazy overtime game a little later, and the Jets plus 4 today. So I'm going to rip it up anyways because this parlay is done. The Bears, thankfully, they were the ones that I thought would likely, they looked like they were going to lose to the Titans, but we're going to like rip it up right here because it was Michael's team that couldn't even cover at all. So that's how we're going to do that there. You could at least cover. They could have at least covered to keep the parlay alive, but they did not. So that's how it's going to go. But anyways, getting into the Chicago Bears game, if somebody told me that Mr. Biles would be the first to score a touchdown for the Bears this season, I would have been like, oh, well, I guess that's cool. I mean, Simone, and if you're not familiar with Mr. Biles, that's the husband of Simone Biles. His name is Jonathan Owens, though, but we're going to call him Mr. Biles. So Jonathan Owens, scoop and score off a block punt, scores the first touchdown. The Bears had no offense going at all whatsoever. And here we go. We got Jonathan Owens scoring the first touchdown of the Chicago Bears season. And I would not have believed you for 1 second. Touchdown is a touchdown, but I was shocked because thankfully the defense started to look like the defense of old, the defense that, I was like, what does that sound? They started to look like the defense of old because they were the ones that were really contributing to the team because clearly the offense was not working out for the Bears. And Caleb Williams is still making rookie mistakes, which, hey, he's a rookie, so it's going to happen. I get it. I still go back to my whole thing where I would prefer if no matter how good you are coming out of college, I feel like rookies going into the NFL should at least sit behind somebody and then eventually just kind of learn the game and see the speed of the game in real time from the sidelines before going in. Obviously gets thrown in. I get it. But making rookie mistakes, just trying to extend plays, almost reminiscent of Tua Tagovailoa in his first couple of years. You get so used to the college level being able to extend plays, and it just does not always work that way in the NFL because the guys are faster and stronger that you're competing against on another level in the NFL. So Caleb Williams, he'll learn. Fortunately, as kind of Michael reassured me yesterday, main thing is that he didn't turn over the ball. So I guess that is a plus. Just need to make better choices in terms of the plays and get on the same page as the receivers. Keenan Allen, I haven't seen anything yet about his injury, but for the most part, a win is a win. The Bears beat the Tennessee Titans 24-17. And we talk about mistakes because Will Levis, thank you very much for making one of the other mistakes, trying to get rid of the football, and then ends up giving it to the Bears defense for a pick six. So that worked out as well. I was in a good mood the rest of the day. And because the Packers lost on Friday, the Bears win on Sunday morning. So your girl was in like a fabulous mood for the first weekend of the NFL because when those two things happen, I will forever be a good mood for the rest of the weekend. No matter what happens, It's Bears win, Packers lose. We got a good weekend for the NFL, despite anything else that happens. But no, it was an interesting game. A win is a win, and I'm just happy that Chicago was able to, the defense at least was able to step up. Salute to you, Mr. Biles, and to the rest of the Chicago Bears defense. And because Tennessee, they were actually, I said this before, and I actually, in our quick picks with Kyle, I had picked the Titans to cover because I'm like, I don't know. I have to see the Bears to believe it. And I still am true to that because their offense just did not look good. So fortunate. And I didn't know, I was not aware. It's like, I'm sorry, Chicago Bears defense. I'm just not familiar with your game. It was kind of that kind of situation because they surprised me. The Tennessee Titans offense, don't get me wrong, is not like playing against the Kansas City Chiefs or anything, but they're still quality. They were still up. They were the first to score a touchdown. And like I said, the Bears, I still can't believe it. Like, no offensive touchdowns. But anywho, win is a win. And our Dallas Cowboys won as well. Where's Michael? Excuse me. I was like, is Michael still hiding over there?
I'm hiding in my shame. I'm hiding in my shame.
You guys, he still has the bag over the head. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see him. He still has the bag over his head.
I promised I would put a show for YouTube.
I can't even take you seriously right now. Oh my gosh. On that note, it's the perfect timing because we are going to step aside as Michael has still doing the walk of shame for now. But when we come back, we will definitely get into more football and also stick around for this hour as we will also get into Rainbow Wahine volleyball and let you hear from head coach Robin Amo and also middle blocker Jason Bamus. But don't go anywhere. We got a lot more to come, a lot more coming up on Wake Up in the Den.
Stuck in traffic? That sucks. Here's why on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Aloha and good morning, Honolulu. From the Salem Media Traffic Center.
Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kule Agbayani and Michael Lasquero. Michael Lasquero has taken off the bag of shame though, so we got regular Michael Lasquero that you guys will see in just a little bit. Gave me a good chuckle. He got the blood flowing and gave me a good chuckle when he walked in studio. So made up for the tardiness. But I get it. It's Hawaii traffic, right, you guys? So you're forgiven, Michael.
I mean, if the Jets win, then I definitely deserve the walk of shame because that's kind of embarrassing where the Bears won and the Jets win, which I kind of want the Jets to win because I don't like the 49ers. But, you know, it is what it is. It just sucks. That's the life of a football fan. But if there's one consolation.
Michael, inside voice.
Oh. If there's one consolation, I still beat Alan Mia in fantasy football. So take that, Alan. Take that, Alan. You gotta. We did have a wager, Alan. So that's what's up.
Oh yeah, we have no Alan Mia in studio now, so you can't like actually rag on him like before, like in person. And I know he used to like listen on his either drive into the studio or when he's at his desk here, because we would know because he would give us like, you know, his thoughts as he would come across the window every now and then. But now I don't know if he's listening, so we'll wait and see if we get a text message, and then if not, then I guess no Alan Mia, and it's just not the same now because you're not like you can't like brag to his face, but it's okay. It's on. Let
I don't
the record
need to
show.
brag to his face. I'm bragging on YouTube.
All right, continuing the bragging. Before we get into the overtime game that was yesterday, the reason why the parlay has already fallen apart because of the LA Rams. Going through some of the other games that happened, the Dallas Cowboys. Credit to the Dallas Cowboys beating the Browns 33-17. So we got a win for the station and the team that you can hear every Sunday. Well, I guess not every Sunday, but every Cowboys game and listen to the Cowboys right here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, brought to you by Ko'olau Federal Credit Union. And that's following Dak Prescott becoming the highest paid, I can't believe I'm saying that, the highest paid player in the NFL, resetting the market once again. Although, you know what, as much as I am a Dak Prescott, maybe I'm not a Dak Prescott hater. I just don't.
You are.
I don't think, it's not a hater if I don't think he is. I would say maybe I'm more of a Josh Allen hater than a Dak Prescott hater. But, well, maybe it's just on the Buffalo Bills, not Josh Allen himself. I still think he's a very good quarterback. But Dak Prescott is just not worth the type of quarterback that's going to reset the market. Like, if you're telling me, like, to pick one, whether it's I used Tua because he's the one that got paid recently before this. Tua Tagovailoa and Dak Prescott. Like, I'm going to choose Tua Tagovailoa. Not a homer pick, by the way, just because I do think he's overall a better quarterback. So that's why I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's Dak Prescott to become the highest paid. Now, I understand about resetting the market and quarterbacks and quarterback needs. But then again, if you have no other options like the Dallas Cowboys and you don't want to gamble on potentially losing Dak, and I mean, he's adequate enough, I guess. Hasn't really took you that far into the playoffs or won you a Super Bowl. So that's usually my ceiling, or just kind of the base on whether or not you deserve to even be the highest paid. You got to prove that you can win the big games and not just win regular season games and not really do much in the playoffs. That's kind of where my reasoning stands, in case anyone is wondering why I'm just so hard struck on Dak and all of that stuff. But nonetheless, guy gets paid. Cowboys win 33-17. So I guess, hey, like I said, win is a win. The unfortunate game, however, the gut-wrenching game for me was seeing the Cincinnati Bengals, the team I like to cheer for a lot, the team that I have in my Super Bowl pick, not looking very good either. Cincinnati Bengals, without the services of T. Higgins, of course, though, losing straight up. What, like 8.5-point favorite at one point? I think I did actually pick the Patriots to cover, which they did, but they won straight up 16-10 over the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals, the lack of receiver, definitely you can kind of see with Joe Burrow, who really is kind of that point guard for teams with superstar receivers. We saw when he was at LSU where they just kind of set it off and all that. But I think Jamar Chase was barely practicing, not really in there, and it just kind of showed with the Bengals. I think they also have some new running backs in the room. I know Joe Mixon's in Houston, and then P. Ryan's, I believe, with the Chiefs now. So a lot of new weapons to throw to for Joe Burrow, and I think it's going to take some time for them to build it. But they've been here before. I think last year they were 0-2 to start the season, but I think they'll be fine. I think once Jamar Chase gets going, they'll be okay. The Patriots, though, the Patriots are going to do what Patriots are going to do. They're going to muck it up. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play defense. And Ramondre Stevenson, I think, had like over 100 yards on my bench for fantasy for one of my leagues. But that's how it goes. And for the Bengals, it is a tough division. But I think who's leading the division now? The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
I did pick them to make the playoffs. So Steelers, wow, Justin Fields. Imagine if Justin Fields won with the Steelers and the Bears lost too.
I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. I've said it before that I feel like Justin Fields is a good quarterback. It's just that him being with the Bears messed him up because the Bears didn't even know what they were doing over there in Chicago when they drafted Justin Fields and like the coaching changes and all of that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would actually be happy for Justin Fields because, like I said, I really believe he can be a good quarterback, and it's not his fault that the Bears didn't know what they were doing in their organization that really derailed and kind of delayed his potential and the career that he could have. So and the fact that when he did go to Pittsburgh, I was stoked because I love Mike Tomlin. I think they can do good things with him. And I know back then, Ryan Poles, the general manager for the Bears, they wanted to do right by Justin and trade him to somewhere that they feel like he would succeed and go to a good franchise and a good team. So that really said a lot about Ryan Poles. And I believe he is in the same place. I just had the image and the thing that kind of went viral with that Steelers game about Russell Wilson being officially inactive, but he had his pads on, like full pads, and everyone was like, Russell Wilson being in full pads when he's inactive is the most Russell Wilson thing that can ever be done.
I mean, you guys got to stop hating on Russell Wilson, man. The guy is who he is, and if it keeps him mentally engaged to put on pads so that he can put the headset on, then so be it, right? I mean, we have, I think Jake Farrell's on with pads for UH, and he has the headset on too, right? So you gotta just be engaged, and you gotta be a team player. And like him wearing pads is not hurting anybody. Like me showing up with a bag over my head is not hurting anybody. So like let's
say that. It totally threw me off.
Let's leave the man alone. Let's leave the man alone. And guess what? They're 1-0 with Russell Wilson with pads on the sideline, even though he's inactive. So take that.
I don't know. Michael's too nice. I'm still going to laugh at Russell Wilson in full pads being inactive mainly because he's a veteran. It's not something you see with veterans that like they're usually not in their pads. They're chilling. They're doing their thing. Anyways, I don't want to harp on it too much.
I think if he's in street clothes, then that would be a bit much. But he was in uniform, so
with pads. Anyways, we'll move on. This is going to be too long to talk about Russell Wilson. Either way, the Steelers come out with the 18-10 win over the Atlanta Falcons. Texans, surprisingly close game against the Indianapolis Colts, 29-27. Maybe not that surprising. I mean, you kind of already knew this was going to be a battle. But main thing is CJ Stroud already off to a good start, and the Houston Texans still looking like they are going to dominate. Also, one of the other games.
Oh, no shout out for Clemmy Fairbairn. Three field goals from 50-yard plus.
There we go. There we go. Do it again. Say it again.
Punahou alum.
Not
Kaimi Fairbairn. He helped carry. I think he carried one of my fantasy teams, but like he had 3 field goals from 50-yard plus. And I think that helped them give them a 15-7 lead. So even before CJ Stroud was going off, they have when you have a kicker that's automatic, that keeps you in the game. And if he doesn't convert any of those field goals, they lose the game because it was a 29-27 game. And that's kind of shows you the margin of victory in the NFL. And I don't know if we're gonna go to it yet, and why the Rams lost because we didn't.
We're not gonna go to it yet. So hang tight there, Michael. I know he's like chomping at the bit, but you know what? Because he came in late, that's why I got to just let him wait until he can go off and talk about that game that we saw yesterday. We're going to actually save it for the second hour, just so Michael has to wait that long to talk about that in overtime. Because we only got a couple of minutes left in this segment, and we are going to switch it up a little bit to give some love and the women's volleyball team their flowers and have you hear from them in just a little bit or coming up in the next segment. But sticking to some of our NFL scores, when you talk about, like having to make your kicks and the margin of victory, there we go. Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins just beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 20-17 after a 52-yard game-winning field goal. I mean, it's honestly incredible, like how far and accurate these NFL kickers are, because to remind everyone, the NFL field goal is actually more narrow than college. So you're talking about that type of distance and having to have like less of a margin for error when you're trying to hit it between the uprights. Like, it's insane. But I feel like anything over 50 yards, well, anything below 40 should be like a chip shot for NFL kickers. And then after you get past that, depending on the conditions, anything is impressive. And anything over 50, hands down. But the Miami Dolphins beating Jacksonville 20-17. And this was after, I'm sure a lot of you that are on social media saw it go viral. Tyreek Hill, receiver for the Dolphins, gets detained, or I don't want to really say arrested. He had handcuffs on him. He got pulled over for reckless driving or something. Not sure what the details are that escalated to the officers having him get out of the car, put him in handcuffs. People driving by are like, that's Tyreek Hill. And like, I guess his teammates saw as well and ended up helping. But he got to the game. And I actually told my friend, because I think the prop on Tyreek Hill was like 87 yards, receiving yards or something. I think that was the over-under in receiving yards. And like, when our friend sent it in our group text about the arrest or whatnot, I was like, Tyreek Hill, 100+ receiving yards, like, mark it down. And then sure enough, Tyreek Hill does Tyreek Hill things, 130 yards and a touchdown, and no surprise there. And then, I don't know, I don't want to condone. I'm usually big on celebrations and stuff in the NFL and all that stuff. I don't know if I can condone Tyreek Hill's celebration, because when he did, he kind of, like, with his teammate, did, like, the whole handcuff thing, and I was like, all right, Tyreek, like, let's just calm it down. But either way, clearly got the over, and it's just one of those things. Normal people, normal athletes or normal receivers, I would be like, oh, they're going to have such a bad game, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know, it's something about Tyreek Hill. I'm like, nope, this just means he's going to have he's going to ball out today.
Yeah, and, you know, I saw Tyreek Hill example yesterday and made sure I got here safely. No reckless driving, no speed. I don't want to get pulled over, get put in handcuffs either, too. So Ku's calling my tarness, but I don't want to get handcuffed, Ku. I'll take a picture, and that would even be more trending. But yeah, Tyreek Hill went off, but I think, you know, one thing that gave the Dolphins the win, I think, is the leadership position at the quarterback position, specifically with Tua Tagovailoa. And I think with that extension and being paid, he's in here for the long haul, so he's showing more of himself. I think Tyreek Hill said in his post-game conference that at halftime they kind of went in, and then he said this is the first time he heard Tua in his Hawaiian accent calling people out. You know, he's calling like J-Dub, Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek, and like Tyreek's like, yeah, Tua, you know, this is hyping me up. So I'm curious to know what Tua was saying. His pigeon probably came out, his smoke probably came out. So I want to hear what Tua is. I think that's going to be a fun conversation in Hawaii sports, whatever radio media, where what did Tua say at halftime that made them rally from that deficit? Because I really want to know what Tua said, because Tua does such a great job of like kind of keeping it under wraps, right? And like we mentioned in the past, where he was so posh in his media, and now that he's, you know, I think Rich Eisen calls it salty Tua. He's showing more of his personality. So the fact that this is the first time that Tyreek heard Tua's Hawaiian accent, that flipped a switch. So I guess the Dolphins are 1-0 when Tua's Hawaiian accent comes out at halftime. So
I love how they say Hawaiian accent. Or we call that like local accent or local slang, local pidgin. I don't know we know what they're talking about, but obviously they don't really know any better over there, so it's kind of funny to hear that though. But we've always said spicy Tua, exactly. Spicy Tua, we like spicy Tua. He comes out and he is on I think I even said kind of like what you kind of just said there, Michael, before or right when Tua got paid. I'm like, hey, now he's actually one, they should pay the man because he's been so committed. You can tell he made the turn and is like a solid NFL quarterback now. He's gotten a lot leaner, and he deserved to get that long-term deal. And that when he did, yeah, he could focus more on actually playing football than being focused on the negotiation. So, yeah, finished with 338 yards, a touchdown, and a 101 rating. So, shout out to Tua Tagovailoa. All right, going to step aside and take a break from our NFL conversation. When we come back, we will get into some Rainbow Wahine volleyball chat. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Wake Up in the Den.
Stuck in traffic? That sucks.
side. And no, we really took a lot. We brought that energy on the bench, on the court. Everyone was together, so it was great.
Oh, no, yeah. So they stay away from this weekend just to get the split. Probably thinking you could have gone 2-0, right? But just to get one.
I think just focusing on starting that first set strong. There's no need to be timid or like shake it up. No, we need to just start the first set strong, and I think we would be good.
And that was UH women's volleyball middle blocker Jason Bamis following their win on Saturday over Pepperdine. Now here's head coach Robin Amo.
Hey, at least we never started slow in the first set. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of talk in the locker room. Came back, watched video, had a long talk again with them. I got to give props to Kate. Kate distributed the offense, kind of a little bit more diverse offense. But they came out and played today. Yeah, from the beginning they came out and played. And we got a little sloppy. I mean, Pep is a good team. Scott got those guys going like good. But sloppy a little bit, in the last couple sets. Then Kaylin just turning it on. Yeah, Kate finding the hot hitter. And
was it fitting at all that Taylor gets the ace at the end, because her defense, another 2 nights in a row, I mean, she's been unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know. So I tell them stuff. Yeah, it might be, I got to light a fire under their butts, but I'm like, why can't you guys just play like that? The first set, no ball drop. No ball drop. They're going out for defense, doing their whatever they need to do, discipline on the scouting report. And then we play good. Yeah.
How much, in terms of the way you guys started tonight, how much do you think Victoria starting the match for you helped you? And did you notice Stella had such a good game? I don't know if it helps her maybe to just kind of go in and not have to worry about passing. Like, do you think
that's the whole part of that? Just let her work on just blocking and hitting. In the front, a couple times she can pass, but we also got Tali, with her. But I think starting, I was gonna start Vic yesterday, but I was like, maybe Stella needs a little before she gets in. But we decided to go with Vic, and it helped us out in the back row with passing. So.
Kate played today after yesterday's performance, and how's your relationship with her progressed these last 5 years?
Oh, ask her. I'm just joking. I love Kate. We had some words, and I gotta, I'm always about the truth. Like we need to move around the ball. We need to move the ball around. We got hitters like Jazz. Look at Jazz tonight. Millie. They're hitting just ones, and they're getting one-on-ones. So she spread the offense out. Kaylin's open, at the end of the game. She did a great job too.
What was the biggest difference you saw from last night to tonight? Obviously 2 5-setters, but tonight with a young team, they pulled it out. They know how to win tonight.
I think it was just the start, the start of it, coming out and just being disciplined on what they have to do. First 2 sets, and then it kind of went sloppy a little bit. I mean, Pep just started running faster offense on the other side, which kind of, sloppy. I mean, we're not set up. We're not picking up hitters when the ball goes over, and then again lose the next 2 sets, right? And then pick it back up on the 5th. So slow start the other night, faster start tonight, maybe, but a little bit more fight. They had the fight.
And that was UH women's volleyball head coach Robin Amo following their win on Saturday over Pepperdine. And before that, you heard from middle blocker Jason Bamis. And like Coach said, I mean, they had the fight. Oh, by the way, hello. Welcome to the Magic. I love how we went to the audio and then now we switched it up and now we switched seats in the magic of the studio time in our YouTube. And apologize, you guys, I did have the audio off. My apologies, and we turned it back on our YouTube channel. So thanks, Mom, for kind of pointing that out and texting me. Well, that's what happens. There's so much. There's only so much your girl can do, and somebody here has the walk of shame when he comes in late on our YouTube show day. Not so much if it's not a YouTube show day. It's kind of easy to focus on just running the board, but yeah, we can blame this guy right here.
Hey, we it happened for the clip. So look on our social media platforms.
Oh, but either way, Hawaii coming out with the big win and splitting it with Pepperdine, being able to come back from losing a 5-setter on Friday and then winning a 5-setter on Saturday. And they're starting to look better and better. Again, the new ones are getting a lot of that experience now and preparing themselves to play some of the tougher teams. They do play Texas State tomorrow night, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Simplify Arena at Stan Sheriff Center. Then they're hosting the Outrigger Invitational, where they will play Oregon State on Friday and then Texas State again on Saturday before heading out on their first road trip of the season to play at UNLV on Tuesday, September 17th, and then heading over to Texas to play Texas on Friday, September 20th, and then Baylor on Saturday, September 21st. So I kind of like how this season has started in terms of the teams that they're playing first before playing traditionally powerhouse volleyball teams in Texas. So this is a good setup for the Rainbow Wahine. And they're a solid squad. They have the talent, and they're just going to start figuring it out even more. I feel like they kind of remind me of our team here at Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Not gonna lie, we're a tiny team. We don't have a lot of numbers, just like the volleyball team. Their roster size is very small, but they have a lot of the quality talent there, and it's just figuring out, like, the more and more you work together, the better and better you get. So I want to say they're like our Hawaii Sports Radio team here. We're a tiny team, but we have a lot of talent. And yeah, we're rocking and rolling. I think that's a fair comparison, right, Michael?
Minus the tunnel talk, unless you're gonna give me a tunnel talk for not being here on time. But yeah, minus the tunnel talk, yeah, it's a fair comparison.
That's true too. But nobody knows. I love that nobody knows what the tunnel talk is, though. It's still a mystery. I mean, I think kind of people already know because it's been mentioned so many times. But for the most part, nobody knows what the tunnel talk is. Except Michael.
I know because on the opening night against SMU, I was trying to go down to the bottom level. I was there, so if you know the inner workings of the Stan Sheriff Center, there are 2 stairs to get to the ground, to the top level and the bottom level. So, and then where the media and the press room area is, it's on one side. So I was gonna go down one side. And I heard, and this is when they lost the first set 25-7 to SMU. And I was going to go down to go through the hallways. And then I hear Coach Robin giving one of her tunnel talks after they lost the first set 25-7. I was like, nope, I'm going back up, going around the Stan Sheriff Center and going down the opposite stairs. So yes, it's a very eventful tunnel talk.
But only Michael knows what the tunnel talk is. He was privy to just going down the stairs that he went through at the most opportune time. Anywho, got to step aside. We'll be right back to close out hour number 1, and don't forget, stick around for hour number 2 here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck in traffic? That's Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Michael Lasquero closing out hour number 1 here on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming on our YouTube channel. And we will definitely get into a lot of stuff coming up in hour 2, as every day we go from 8 to 10. And then Mondays we stream on our YouTube channel. Don't forget, you can also text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481 if you guys want to chat about anything and everything happening. All right, I wanted to close out this hour since we only have a few minutes left, and I know it's not enough time for Michael to go off about the overtime game yesterday between the Detroit Lions and the LA Rams, for which, if you're just tuning in either on YouTube or the show, there is a ripped up Las Vegas parlay ticket on our studio floor right now, because when I was in Vegas, I did a team parlay for our squad here, our teams, and I took the Bears money line, the Rams plus 3.5, and then the Jets. I think it doesn't matter now because it's already dead because of Michael's Rams, but and then the Jets like plus 4 or something, 4.5. And I love how we went to break and Michael was like, well, the line moved from, what did you say? You said the line moved to 5.5. I was like, yeah, but they still didn't cover. It doesn't matter. Nice try though, Michael. Either way, it's a fun time, but we will get to more extensive conversation of that game coming up in the next hour. But before we close out this first hour, wanted to kind of get into some of the football scores that happened over the weekend, because there were some very, very interesting games. One I want to point out, or there's quite a few as it deals with the Mountain West. Starting first though, UNLV, if you guys did not see the score, I mean, they did play Utah Tech, who is obviously they're not a name in the college football landscape, but UNLV put up 72 points over this poor Utah Tech squad, beating them 72-14, put up 28 points in the first quarter. And I mean, that's more than even Georgia or any of like the top 25 team. I mean, not top 25, but I saw the Georgia score. They put up like 40 something. I'm like, 72 points. Holy moly.
Hey, I was at a 72-14 game too as well on Saturday. Wow.
That's crazy.
Imagine that.
Oh, I didn't even put that 2 and 2 together.
Well, I was like, 72? What's the final score? 14? Like, wow.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have Michael tell you about that as well when we get into some of our high school football conversation. But 72-14, another one that stood out, San Jose State. We've been talking about them a lot, Coach Kenyo Matalolo, but more importantly, seeing how this offense plays out, as it is entirely run by former UH player and coach Craig Stutzman. They beat Air Force 17-7. I know it doesn't scream like, ooh, that's a lot of points, but Air Force is still a quality football program, and they've been so in the Mountain West. One of the only like long tenured coaches in the Mountain West this season, with Troy Calhoun, knows what it takes to win. San Jose State, and that's actually their first road win ever for the Spartans at Air Force. So that already says a lot too. So we're going to keep our eye on in this sneaky good San Jose State squad.
Yeah, San Jose is a team that I'm like afraid of playing next year, because they kind of know our tendency. And I think with Air Force actually being in a conference like the Mountain West, their style of offense with the triple option and that the service academies, it might be to their detriment, because like teams are kind of used to defending it. And it's not like if you're an independent where you're just scheduling teams and you're going so forth. So, I think this like Air Force being a powerhouse in the Mountain West might start to dip. And I mean, unless they adapt and evolve, right? Speaking of adapting and evolve, hopefully our Hawaii Rainbow Warriors will adapt and evolve and kind of show more points and maybe kind of score as maybe half of what UNLV got this weekend when they play Sam Houston State.
Yeah, they're going to be one that's going to be interesting, and they're coming up on Hawaii's schedule. A couple more before we go to our top of our break. Oregon just barely beating Boise State. Now, I don't know if that says a lot about Boise or if it says little about Oregon. So Oregon, number 7, beating Boise 37-34. So just a few points. Dylan Gabriel, he looked okay. He got sacked a bunch of times. I mean, he's always under pressure. I want to say, I think I posted about it. It's like it was still in the second quarter, and Dylan already had gotten sacked 4 times by Boise State. Obviously, we can't say enough about Ashton Genty. I'm sure Boise would look entirely different if they did not have Ashton Genty, but they do. So they have very competitive, really kept it close with Oregon, but Oregon being able to secure that last-second field goal to beat Boise State 37-34. But again, I don't know if it says just how good Boise is or if it just says more about how Oregon isn't the same team that we expected to be one of the favorites to win the national championship, and Dylan Gabriel being one of the favorites to win the Heisman. And now, because of the first couple of games that Oregon has had, Quinn Ewers is actually the new favorite to win the Heisman over there in Texas because they've looked solid so far. So we'll continue to keep an eye, obviously, on Boise State. But, it doesn't matter because when they come and play here in Manoa, then the Rainbow Warriors are going to upset any of them anyways. But it's still interesting to keep tabs on them, especially for those 2 squads that I will follow for sure as the season goes around. USC, easy win over Utah State for that Mountain West team, 48-0, able to shut them out. One of the games we kind of also had our eye on because we talked about Georgia Southern and being the same common opponent for Boise State and Nevada, because Nevada was starting to look sneaky good. I do still think they look good too, where Georgia Southern could potentially be a solid team. They were able to put up more points against Boise State than Oregon did. And Nevada, though, falling to Georgia Southern 20-17. I still think they might be an interesting, a sneaky good team. Now, to go back to the official Mountain West preseason polls, both San Jose State and Nevada were predicted to finish behind Hawaii. So take that how you must, and
Even
kind of being the
San Jose State? Really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. When I looked at it, I was like, this was weird.
I'm gonna check on that, but I know Utah State was definitely Utah and Nevada was definitely.
Yeah, that's not the surprise. It's more the San Jose State and Nevada that's kind of like the surprise good teams. Anyway,
that's
on that note, we're going to step aside, so we'll be right back for hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Your home for USC
more Wake Up in the Den with Kukule Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Wake Up in the Den alongside Michael Lasquero. I'm Kule Agbayani. Mahalo for sticking with us for the second hour, and we are live every weekday from 8 to 10 and streaming live on our YouTube like we are right now every Monday, where you can watch or listen, and of course watch or listen on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we were talking some NFL in the first hour. You guys got a chance to listen to me, hopefully, the whole thing. Talk a little bit about my team in the Chicago Bears. In just a little bit, we will let Michael relive the game that was yesterday and the overtime loss for the LA Rams to the Detroit Lions. I know some other Lions fans in here are very excited, or on Oahu are very excited about that win. But before we get into that, I just want to kind of make note. It's okay, bear with me, folks. Let me enjoy NFL Week 1 for just a little bit more, because talked about how the Bears won. Surprisingly, we're able to come back. Thank you to the Bears defense, and hopefully Caleb Williams figures it out. So the Bears were able to beat the Titans 24-17. Also coming out with wins are the Minnesota Vikings 28-6. However, even though it was the Vikings win, shout out to former Hawai'i and UCLA linebacker, and then also, of course, Midilani High School grad Darius Muasau, who he's getting playing time. He actually was second in tackles for the Giants defense and recorded his very first interception of his NFL career. So shout out Darius, woo! Even though they were playing in those awful looking uniforms, but nonetheless, still happy for our local kid being able to do big things in the NFL. And then also the Green Bay Packers losing. So Green Bay Packers lose on Friday, Bears win on Sunday, and then the Vikings win. And unfortunately, this will lead us to our conversation. The Detroit Lions also won yesterday in overtime, beating the LA Rams. But why that's significant, before I let Michael have the floor here, is that in the NFC North, I need to enjoy, and I know this pains our Kyle Galdera and Michael. This is just Michael getting back for just ragging on Kyle so much on our Saturday Night Football broadcast, but it makes someone like me very happy because all those teams are in the same division, and the Packers have always just been the one to, don't get me wrong, I still think they'll be good. Jordan Love, fortunately, does not have a season-ending injury, but to open up week 1 where every other team wins and the Packers are the only one that lose in the division, for all of my fellow fans of teams in the NFC North, except for Kyle and the Packers, obviously, this feels really, really good. So I need to enjoy how this feels right now before we kick it to Michael for the depressing side, because his team did lose to the Detroit Lions. But I just needed to say that. I needed to start off by having the floor and celebrating the fact that the Packers were the only team to lose in opening weekend of the NFL. I don't think it's going to shake up that way for the rest of the season, so that's why I'm just enjoying it while I still can. But someone that did not have an enjoyable afternoon yesterday, afternoon/early evening, because seeing the Detroit Lions win means someone has to lose, and that team that lost is the LA Rams in overtime, might we add. So, Michael, I unfortunately did not get a chance to watch the game because I was out at UH doing the UH barbecue, Papa Tui, NIL thing, but that's why I'm going to kick it over to Michael, who can give us more details about the game itself and potentially what went wrong. And also, I'm curious, what went right for the Detroit Lions.
It was a very stressful afternoon. It had all the vibes of a playoff game. And, we did play in the wild card against the Lions, and the Rams played in the wild card game against each other. But in that wild card game, that was a game where it was decided by 1 point. But that was a game with 0 turnovers. So, again, it's weird to have a game with 0 turnovers and you go through the first quarter with no turnovers. It's a very nervous energy game because it's like, who's going to make the first mistake? Who's going to make the first mistake? And it was the Rams making the first mistake. Sean McVay has been criticized for being very conservative at times, instead of going for it. But he was aggressive in that first half, and I think it came back to bite us because there was that one fourth down. I think Detroit went up 10-3, and we were in the red zone, and then instead of taking the point, we throw the ball, and Cooper Kupp's unable to hold on to on fourth down, and then we get an opportunity right before the end of the first half. We were in the red zone again, and I don't know, maybe it's because the Detroit Lions paint half the stadium blue or 90% of the stadium blue. But Stafford just didn't see the defender, and he threw a red zone interception with like under 15 seconds in that first half. Ooh. And we were down 10-3. And then the second half, Jameson Williams pops off. And, shout out to Jameson Williams. I know he had a lot of things going on. I know he was injured coming out of college. And I know he had that little incident with the parlay. So cool. Maybe he took a page out of your book and your playbook and ripped up his parlay sheet because he showed out right there. I think he had like a 5 receptions for 100 something yards, and he scores on a double move. And we're down 17-3. Keep in mind that I think the score was 10-3 when I was asking Kyle forgiveness in our fantasy football chat. And I thought it was gonna work, and then Matthew Stafford. But anyways, it was 7-3. I was like, oh no, just let's not embarrass ourselves, so I can show my face. I can come to work. And we were coming back. Guys, we get a touchdown. They showed Karen Williams' mom because he scored a touchdown, 17-10. And then, we get into the red zone again. We're forcing stops. Jared Goff is showing that he's Jared Goof, and he's showing why we made the right decision to trade him. And keep in mind, we lost Puka Nacua to an injury. Our two starting tackles on the left side and the right side. One, I think he has some special, and our right tackle who's been on our team since our St. Louis Rams days was injured. So we had two starting new tackles. Our center that was going to move to center was playing left guard, and our left guard was playing center. I don't know why that would happen, but whatnot. But then we lose our left tackle. So we have somebody in there, number 61. I don't even know his name. In there, and then we also lose one of our sophomore players in injury. So we were starting a rookie center. Our offensive line people was being held together by freaking Scotch tape. We didn't have our starting left tackle. We didn't have our backup left tackle. We were left at left tackle was the assistant to the regional left tackle out there. And, we were at the 1 yard line. There was a pass interference call. We were at the 1 yard line of Detroit. Our rookie scores on a end around or jet sweep, but it gets called back because of a holding. And then there's another holding. And instead of having first and goal at the 1, we have to kick a field goal. And that was where we were starting to go wrong. But again, the Rams, the Rams.
You guys, I don't know if you guys can tell this right now. I don't know if you guys have been hearing this for the last couple of minutes, but all I hear is like the teeny tiny violin right now. All I hear is excuses after excuses after excuses. Excuses, that's exactly what it sounded like for Michael right there. I mean, it's like, no, it's just all about the Rams falling apart.
We're still recapping the game, I'm not making excuses.
No. What Michael's doing right now is making all the excuses in the world for the Rams and not actually recapping the game. Because I haven't heard any credit to the Detroit Lions, especially my guy David Montgomery, former Bear, who scored the game-winning touchdown.
We'll get there, cool. We're in chronological order. But anyways, we take the lead 20-17, but Detroit comes back. I know we had an opportunity to close it out the door, but we just didn't. We opened the door. We left the door wide open. And Detroit gets a game-tying field goal. They win the coin toss. And essentially, the game's over because the first team to score a touchdown wins the game. And, we got it taken to us. As Marshawn Lynch said, when you run someone over and 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 over again, they don't want to deal with that. And that's what the Detroit Lions did to us in overtime. It was embarrassing. It was almost, I don't want to say, it messed with our masculinity, but they just were running it down our throats. And in overtime, and you can't spell Montgomery without OT, and that's what David Montgomery did. And he just totally ran it down ourselves. And we did not have the mono power. Again, I don't want to make excuses. We were gassed, though. We were gassed. And, I'm not going to make a complaint about the overtime rules, but we lost. Even though we had all our injuries, we had an opportunity to put this game away. But our best players, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp had the drop on 4th down that took away points, and they could not collect on 3rd and 10, even though Cooper Kupp would have been open and probably would have taken it almost into scoring range. We left the door open, and the Detroit Lions, at the end of the day, were victorious. They found a way to win, and it's a sad day.
And the NFC North, officially Week 1, the last place team are the Green Bay Packers. That wraps up that conversation. And don't get me wrong, people. Like, I do not think that the Bears, unfortunately, are going to win the division. I mean, I take that back. We need Keenan Allen to be okay, but we need the Bears offense needs to figure it out. And if they do, we'll be talking about something different. But I don't think they are close to being as good as the Detroit Lions. Even the Green Bay Packers, well, potentially you kind of need Jordan Love in there because, yeah, their backup doesn't even actually get the ball off for the Hail Mary that they needed. But nonetheless, NFC North runs through anyone but the Green Bay Packers. So on that note, unfortunately, I had to go through Michael's Rams too, but nonetheless, it runs through everybody else. Anywho, gonna step aside. When we come back, we will get you caught up with things you may have missed in high school football. Next on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Hawaii Sports Radio Network is proud to be the official radio broadcast partner.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Michael Lasquero. All right, keeping it with our football conversation, but bringing it back local. Want to get you caught up and a recap with some of the games and everything that went on in high school football as we got underway with the start of
regular season
league play. I'm like still caught up with like NFL and then college. I'm like, I know it's not conference, but league play. And by that, we mean in the actual OIA, everything we've been covering and games that have been going on and still kind of going on. But before this weekend, we're all non-league games or interleague games and whatnot. But now we got into league games over the weekend. As we were on hand, of course, we brought you Aiea versus Nanakuli, in which Aiea came out on top 32-7. Some of the other, as Michael had mentioned, the game that he was at, your 42. Was that the wait? No, you were at the Kamehameha game, were you? That's
No.
Game.
I was talking about
72.
on Saturday. On Saturday. Saturdays, I think the graphics not there, so we're talking about Friday, right?
Well, Friday and Saturday, yeah.
Oh. Friday, Saturday, Kalaheo beat Kalani 72-14.
There you go. That's the exact score. We have the graphic up right now. So Kalaheo 72-14 on Saturday. Wailua getting a win in the OIA Division 2, 34-14. Shout out to our Darnell Arsenault, who you actually heard on the call with Kyle Galdera for that Aiea and Nanakuli game. But before we continue our scores, though, I want to let you hear from our Timmy T's Gourmet Grinders grinder of the game from that game, Keela Spencer.
All right, Keela, congratulations. First game of the OI season. You guys get the dub. What's the feeling like right now?
Man, I'm honestly nervous. That first touchdown was shocking to me. And then the second one just kept piling. And then the third one it just kept going on and on, man. Just putting in that work and stuff. Got to keep going and going, so. Yeah.
Yeah, you got 3 touchdowns today, and then, some people get 3 touchdowns a season, some people get 3 touchdowns in a game, but you got 3 touchdowns in a quarter. What was going on for you? What was working for you in the second quarter?
Well, I don't know, man. I was honestly just trying to help the team out. I was trying to be a team player and be a leader for the team.
This team has so many weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hiki,
right,
and your new quarterback, and then Jeremy. So do you feel like it could be anybody's night?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. The talent is spread out throughout the field, and they just got to pick their poison, honestly.
Talk about your defense and your special teams, because they really came through with some turnovers and getting those kickoff recoveries.
Right. Defense, we could have stopped the run a little bit better, but I feel like we did pretty good. Kick returns and kickoffs, I feel like we did good. Punts, too. On that last punt, it got blocked, but it's all right because we got the win, so it really doesn't matter.
That first half was the kind of slow for you guys.
Yeah.
What did you guys do? What did you guys say in the huddle on the sideline to kind of get you guys back in track?
Well, at first we were trying to just air the ball out and just get it going, but we had to slowly pick it up. We did outs and slants and just all those short routes to just build it up, build the team up. So, yeah.
Talk about that fourth quarter, because Hiki came in and Jeremy, they kind of took over in the run game. Talk about them stepping in for Eli.
Well, so it's a bummer that Eli got injured, but it's also a blessing that Hiki can be a quarterback and a wide receiver. He's an all-around player. So, and Jeremy, he's just a baller. I love to see him in the next level playing. I'll go support him.
Last thoughts on tonight's game?
Just happy. Came out to make my mom and my dad proud. So it paid off. All the hard work paid off.
And that was Aiea wide receiver Keela Spencer, who was our Timmy T's grinder of the game. Elevate your next team event with Timmy T's. Visit timmytees.com to pre-order sandwich trays, cookie platters, and pickle buckets. And that just made me hungry all of a sudden, of course. But congratulations to Aiea for coming out with that first win of league play over Nanakuli 32-7. Just real quick before we get to some of the other games that happened over the weekend, Michael, just what was your overall takeaway from that matchup between those two squads?
Yeah, I think looking at common opponents, Aiea would have won because they did beat Roosevelt, while Nanakuli beat Roosevelt. But Aiea, they were really kind of airing it out, which was, I thought they were going to try to run the ball a bit more, but they just have so many weapons out there for Aiea. Hiki, Kim Choi Keb Alo, and Jeremy Kakpa, and then you got Keela Spencer coming out of nowhere. He wasn't on my radar, but now he is. But he had a hat trick in that second quarter, and if they can stay healthy, especially quarterback. I know quarterback Elijah Mendoza took a few hits in that game. I know there's a couple late hits or roughing the passer penalties called against Nanakuli. But if they can stay healthy, that's going to be a team to watch out for in this team, because I think they can hang with anybody. And their defense is also pretty solid in the passing game. I think if they play Leilehua this weekend, who I know Leilehua is going to come back firing out because they just lost to Kailua. But it's going to be kind of funny because it's kind of going to be if the quarterbacks still remain the same, it's going to be a battle between two former White Paul quarterbacks that are their same grade level in Bennett Strobel at Leilehua and Elijah Mendoza at Aiea. But Aiea, they're just very, very talented. They have skilled position players, and they won because they were able to kind of move the ball and kind of get things going. Nanakuli, I know they were short-handed a quarterback. They had a backup quarterback in there who's more of a running threat. But they can, if they can minimize the mistakes, Nanakuli will be a solid team. There will be a solid out. There was that one drive where I think Aiea turned it over at the 1 yard line, but they were driving. They got it past midfield and they were in the red zone. But I think they went with a trick play out of the timeout that was intercepted, which if they just stuck to their game plan and just, Koo called me out for not giving the Lions credit, but if they just stuck to the game plan and just kept running it and running it and running it and running it, they would have probably, because the score was 19-7 at that point. If they had scored in that possession, it would have been like a 19-14 or 19-13 game, and at that point, it's anybody's game. But they turned it over in the red zone, and that kind of flipped momentum, and they didn't really bounce back from that. But yeah, two solid teams, and I'm glad we were able to call it because it was a spicy game. I felt like.
Yeah, a little too spicy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we got out there like the game got done way later than it usually does for a non-TV game, because when it's non-TV, the game kind of moves along. But I don't even know what the final tally were for penalties, and because it was penalties for everything, not only like your basic football penalties, like your false starts and whatever, but a lot of unsportsmanlike, couple roughing the passers. It was just penalty after penalty, and I know all of us were like, can we just get the game going? But again, Aiea winning and beating Nanakuli 32-7. Another significant game that happened on Friday night, or a couple that is, St. Louis having a very significant and huge win over Kamehameha Kapalama in the ILH, 37-7, convincing. We know they've had a couple of close losses to solid squads, but we're able to really prove that, hey, we are figuring things out and we are going to be one to mess with. So 37-7 over Kamehameha, and then Punahou beating Iolani in a non-conference 42-0. So Michael, with some of these convincing wins by ILH squads, do you think we could potentially see a move up, especially probably for St. Louis in the power rankings? However, I know like Mililani, they did get a win, quote unquote, on the road for a continent team in Los Alamitos, 27-24. So can't imagine them really moving. And then you have a couple of the top teams that are idle this weekend. But how does this case bode for the St. Louis Crusaders getting a convincing win over an ILH opponent?
I don't know. It's tough because, Punahou and St. Louis, they beat opponents that they were expected to beat, right? It's not like where St. Louis came in and almost beat Kahuku on the road or almost beat Mililani on the road as well. So, like, you can make the case that St. Louis could be the number one team because they were that close to beating Kahuku on the road and Mililani on the road. And Punahou beating Ilani, I'm not surprised by that. 42-0. I'm gonna give again. Who you mentioned me not giving credit to the Lions, but Punahou, they just ran it on Iolani's throats. I think the quarterback only completed needed to complete like 3 or 4 passes, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So they were just dominating. St. Louis, they're rocking rolling. They settled in a quarterback in Nainoa Lopes, and they are kind of scary. Kamehameha, they just don't have the offense to hang with St. Louis. So I do think Kamehameha may be able to hang with Punahou, but St. Louis definitely looking like the favorite to represent the ILH in the state tournament right now.
All right, and going to Saturday's scores, because we do need to go to a break pretty soon, but putting up our scoreboard again for all of our YouTube watchers right now. The game that you were at on Saturday, Michael, a huge win for the Kalaheo Mustangs, 72-14, just like that UNLV game in college football, but 72-14 over the Kalani Falcons in OIA D2 play. Now, what is it about? I mean, tell us a little bit about just the overall breakdown of the two teams and how Kalaheo was able to put up this many points against Kalani. Is it just Kalaheo having that many weapons and being that good, or maybe it could be a potential down year for Kalani, or a little bit of both? But just tell us a little bit about what you saw in such a huge win for the Mustangs on Saturday.
Well, Kalani has a new head coach in Coach Kenrick Pye, so they're still trying to figure it out and they're getting their system. And I mean, Kalani actually had the lead in that game. They scored on a trick play to start the game, but Kalaheo with their young head coach Jamison Lee, former quarterback at Castle High School, they have a very potent pass game. With quarterback Jude Weber coming back. I think his older brother might be a walk on at UH. And whatnot. So And Cody Salas, I don't know if it's related to Greg Salas or whatnot, but Greg Salas, you better claim him because that guy popped out for 5 touchdowns, and he just was just. And the funny thing is too is that like he's probably not their top weapon on offense. That would go to running back / receiver Kamalu Jordan. I think that's what Kalani was kind of worried about in containing. He did score 2 touchdowns, but yeah, when you leave 1-on-1 coverage and you can block that opens the door where, you know, it's pretty much almost automatic whenever Jude Weber targeted Cody Salas. And I think whenever those 1-on-1, it was like, okay, we're going to take that shot. Now for Colin Hill, I think what they need to work on is to be able to close out the game a little bit better. I mean, it's kind of tough too when you have players going both ways. You don't want to run the ball too much. You want to preserve your linemen, because if you lose a couple linemen that are playing both ways, then you pretty much you can't do anything. And we see that with the game of football and the Rams losing to the Lions, where if you get beat in the trenches, you're just gonna lose. But yeah, Colin Hill definitely was an eye opener. They're definitely a team that's probably gonna make the playoffs, and that'll be good for a small like Colin Hill. That's definitely a team that really should be in Division 2 because of their population size. So for them to see success, but yeah, there's a lot of crazy games in Division 2. Wailua, that was a big win against Kamaki, battled the Bulldogs. I think that was Wailua's first win over Kamaki since 2016.
Oh, wow.
So crazy. And Castle, 22-21 over Kaiser. So Division 2 is rocking and loading. So we got to do more games.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely do more games. And we got a big one coming up on Saturday. As we mentioned, Campbell, the number 1 team in the state according to the Scoring Live Power Rankings, have been idle for the last couple of weeks, but they return to action this Saturday and will host Farrington, which you can hear right here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and hawaiisportsradio.com. It is a day game because there are no lights at Campbell, so the game time will be roughly around 4 o'clock. So the JV game starts at 1, and then the game starts for the varsity about half an hour following the conclusion of the JV game. So be sure to follow us on social media so you get the exact time that we're going to jump on air. But that'll be this Saturday around 4:30-ish on Hawaii Sports Radio Network. And that will say a lot. As we mentioned, like St. Louis beat Farrington the other weekend, but Farrington was suffering with some losses and injuries to some of their players and some of their top players. So if they can bounce back in Campbell, we don't know if this will help or hurt Campbell being idle for a couple of weeks and now having to play an OIA Open Division League game against Farrington. So be sure you guys tune in for that. And of course, high school football on Hawaii Sports Radio Network is proudly presented by Timmy T's Sandwich Shop, now with 3 locations: Kailua, Moanalua Shopping Center, and Kapahulu Shopping Center. Visit timmytees.com to order online today. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
It's a brand new day. Wake up in the den with Kulele Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. Alongside Michael Lasquero, I'm Kulele Agbayani. Mahalo to all of you for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 and streaming live every Monday, like right now, on our YouTube channel. So hello to everybody watching on YouTube, and thank you for watching and hopefully liking and subscribing. Make sure you tell your friends, and we appreciate all of you guys, and that's why you are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. All right, I want to go back to some college football as is Hawaii was on their bye week, or one of their multiple bye weeks this season, on their bye week last week following their close loss to UCLA. But now time to turn it around, and we'll play at Sam Houston. So going on the road for the first time this season, this Saturday, 1 o'clock p.m. Hawaii time. And you can watch that on ESPN Plus, or I think on Spectrum, here in Hawaii, Spectrum Sports. It's always blacked out on. I was like, wait a minute. Right? Is it on Spectrum?
No, it's on ESPN Plus.
Okay, it is on ESPN Plus. Because I know sometimes they do the away games and they still black it out. And then, so ESPN Plus picks up the Spectrum. I don't know. Anyways, we'll find out more details for you guys. Anywho. Getting back to the game itself, the Hawaii Sam Houston game did open as a pick'em at our friends at Circus Sports, which was actually kind of surprising to see. To their credit, Sam Houston did win their opening game of the season against Rice 34-14, but then lost this past weekend 45-14 to the University of Central Florida. So odds makers feel like this is a very, very even game with Hawaii going on the road to Sam Houston. Fortunately for our team, though, now they do the charter flights, so it'll be a better travel experience for the team and being able to get that quick turnaround to come back, as they will play Northern Iowa next week back here at home at the Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex. But for now, we'll focus on Sam Houston. We will have the more extensive preview of the matchup itself as we go through the week, but I just wanted to point out that was interesting to see that the teams were at a pick'em, because that surprised me. I thought Hawaii, maybe they would have gave us a little credit considering they were able to hang in there with UCLA, but not according to the odds. So we'll see how it goes. So with that, we're going to pick them, and by pick them, we're going to pick the Bows.
Yeah, I think some places actually have Sam Houston favored by like 4 or 4.5, I think. So it's very interesting. I mean, I think definitely Hawaii has the talent to beat Sam Houston State and compete on the road. Definitely the charter flights are going to help, but then you look at some of the stats, and I think in the Timmy Chang era, we only have one road win. I know a lot of that is with our travel situation and flying commercial and having to leave early in the week and not really getting stuff, but maybe that's what some sports books are looking at. It's definitely a big test and a big game, and I just need the Rainbow Warriors to win, because this is 2 straight weekends now where I just have a sour taste in my mouth for my team losing, with the Bows coming up short against UCLA and for the Rams coming short against the Lions.
Yeah, and I do think I want to go back to tying it into the other Mountain West games as well when we look at some of the other things going around. And like I said, Sam Houston, not exactly like a pushover by any means, so we can expect this to be a competitive game, especially with Hawaii going on the road. But they didn't have a great season last year either. They finished 3-9, 2-6 in their conference, so clearly not exactly a juggernaut team, at least following such a down year for Sam Houston. So Hawaii needs to come out and really not only compete, but they need to go on the road and win, as we mentioned earlier in the first hour, and we'll bring it up again, where you look across the Mountain West and some of the teams that had low expectations, being San Jose State is one of them, and Nevada, have started off the season doing pretty well. As we mentioned, San Jose State over the weekend were able to beat Air Force at Air Force, and that was the first time they were able to win at Air Force ever. So beating Air Force 17-7. Nevada, to their credit, they did lose to Georgia Southern in a close game, but I know Georgia Southern this season is kind of this team that has competed, has done well. They lost to Boise State the weekend prior, but were able to put up more points than Oregon was able to put up against Boise State. So some of these teams, and we go back to looking at the preseason poll slash predicted order of finish, and Air Force was predicted to finish 4th. San Jose State predicted to finish behind Hawaii at 10th. So Hawaii predicted at 9th, San Jose State at 10, New Mexico 11, Nevada at 12. But now you have San Jose State beating Air Force, who was all the way at the top half of the preseason Mountain West poll. Then you have a team like Nevada being able to really be competitive in common opponents that they share with Boise State. And then you have a UNLV squad that it was predicted as 2nd, but is able to put up 72 points, albeit against a Utah Tech team. But still, it's college football. Putting up that many points says a lot about your offense. So we're looking around the Mountain West, and this is where I'm like, all right, pressure's on for Hawaii this weekend, because you have some of these teams that were predicted to be a lesser teams than Hawaii, and some of these other teams have been able to show a lot more through the first couple of games. So I'm expecting and putting a lot of expectations, as we should, as we have been through this third year under Timmy Chang, and going to Sam Houston, who hasn't been able to show anything so far through the first couple of games, that they are indeed a team that will, at least what we know, at least what we believe in this team that of the Rainbow Warriors, and the offensive talent they have, of course, the defensive talent that they have. I mean, new, especially defensive coordinator Dennis Thurman, what he has been able to do with their defense with a lot of the same players that they've had. They've just, yes, the players are a year older, a year more of experience, but this defense is just, it looks like nothing we've seen the last couple of years. Defense is solid, but we just haven't been able to break through. Still feel like that, like Michael said, the bad taste in our mouth that should have beat UCLA and won that game here at home. But I say, like, the expectation, and Hawaii has a lot to prove if they want to remain in the conversation now that they have other schools with new head coaches, mind you, Nevada and San Jose State, albeit experienced head coach at San Jose State, but still new coach, in a program is still says a lot in this level of football. And for those two teams with new head coaches to look like they are potentially better than Hawaii through the first couple of weeks, we really need to start, and we need to show something this Saturday at Sam Houston.
Yeah, keep in mind that we are coming by week. So not only do you have a week to prepare for your opponent, but you have 2 weeks to prepare for your opponent, as well as fix and address some things that you saw in the first 2 games. And I know that's been kind of a point of emphasis. And like the reassuring thing and the positive thing for me is that the coaches know that. You know, it's not like they're making excuses like how I do well with the Rams and whatever, you know.
At least you admit it. It's cool.
Well, I'm on camera, so I have to. But yeah, the this is a very big test for the Rainbow Warriors, because we're gonna need these wins if we want to be in bowl discussion, right? Because we need 7 wins? Not essentially we're gonna need 7 wins, right? Because we're not gonna lose to the
FCS schools.
Yeah, we better not. We better not.
Yeah.
But anyways, you know, if we can get out of our non-conference play and be 3-1, that's very reassuring going into when we do play the Mountain West. And like you said, with Air Force and Nevada, you know, Boise. I'm missing up. Anyways, it's gonna be a very competitive field. I'm mixing it up. Even during the break when you're talking about the Mountain West standings, I was like, no, they thought they were higher. But anyways, yeah, big tests, and hopefully the charter flights, that I'm banking on that being the reason why we're going to have better success on the road. Because as I don't know if Coach Timmy Chang said, but I know Craig Angela said it, where that's just something that's the norm in college football. And if we don't have it, then how do you expect us to compete with everybody? So hopefully we come up with a dub this weekend, and hopefully we're well in hand where we don't have to like be monitoring the box score or the score for this UH game while we're trying to get a broadcast going, because that would be even more stressful.
Yeah, at least we can stream it. So we'll have it like while we're trying to set up, we'll be like streaming the game and doing all kinds of stuff because we got to go there early. And we'll be under a tent, Michael. I just want to make you suffer in the sun as we always do. And it's all the way in Ewa Beach. So we'll get our good like dose of vitamin D while we're out there and this Saturday at Campbell High School, and also keeping track of the UH game. Just real quick though, I wanted to get into one more game just to share with our listeners in case they missed it over the weekend. A game that I was watching intently, and I know it might make my mom sad because she likes Coach Prime and whatnot. But Colorado, I mean, just essentially going into Nebraska and Nebraska taking it to the Buffaloes, and Dylan Raiola finishing 23 for 30 for 185 yards and a touchdown, 28-10 over Colorado. And this Nebraska squad, and especially Dylan Raiola, I saw like a funny meme on social media that like someone needs to tell Dylan to tone down the Patrick Mahomes like cosplay, and it's so true. Like, if you guys watch Dylan, like, he is almost like a spitting image of Patrick Mahomes. It's like crazy. Not only the way that he physically looks and his size, I think they're around the same size. Dylan might actually be a little taller, like an inch and a little bit bigger, but just the way he kind of like walks. He also does like the sidearm throw. He did it in the game that we see Patrick Mahomes do. And he just, yeah, it's weird the way that he walks. I don't know how to explain it, but it looks like a spitting image of Patrick Mahomes, and it's crazy. And the kid, it's hard to believe he's a true freshman because he is so poised for Nebraska and just really able to like kind of be calm and make his passes. You forget like, hey, he's just like an 18, 19-year-old kid now playing in the Big Ten. So Nebraska 2-0, but yeah, if I'm Colorado, this is not exactly the kind of loss that you wanted to take. I mean, lots of mistakes, but to Nebraska's credit, I know I have a friend who lives out there in Omaha and is like the hugest Cornhuskers fan. I even texted the guys like, I think I might have to make a trip back there to Nebraska because it's my favorite, hands down. I do love UH. It's probably not better than old school Aloha Stadium, but in recent times, Nebraska is like my favorite place that I've ever watched a college football game. I know it's crazy, but it's like from the tailgating experience to the stadium, it was awesome. So I can only imagine how crazy Nebraska fans, because there's really nothing else to cheer for there in Nebraska, so that's why they're so obsessed with their Cornhuskers. But nonetheless, they're going to be a sneaky good team. All right, we've got to step aside. We'll be right back to close things out on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Michael Lasquero. Hope you guys are getting on our level as we're always keeping it fun here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming live on our YouTube channel as well. But you can listen live every weekday from 8 to 10 on 95.1 FM, AM 760, and HawaiiSportsRadio.com, or on demand at HawaiiSportsRadio.com or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, I want to close it out with a little bit more college football talk because I didn't want to fail to mention, well, one, the new AP Top 25 poll, give you a quick rundown of the top 10 being Georgia, no surprise at the top, Texas moving up a spot to number 2, after beating Michigan 31-12. Ohio State dropping to 3 after their 56-0 win over Western Michigan. Alabama at 4, Ole Miss at 5, Missouri at 6, Tennessee at 7. So they moved up a significant amount after beating North Carolina State 51-10. Penn State at 8, Oregon dropping a couple of spots because they were barely able to beat Boise State 37-34, which we talked about, and Miami, Florida moving up a couple of spots to round out the top 10 after beating Florida A&M 56-9. And just outside of the top 10, you got USC after their convincing win over Utah State 48-0. But the main thing that I want to bring up with the new AP Top 25 poll is that sneaking in there is Northern Illinois of the Mid-American Conference because they had a huge upset victory against Notre Dame, 16-14 over the Fighting Irish for Northern Illinois' biggest upset in college football. So they have snuck in to the top 25 as they are 2-0 now on the season, but more importantly because they beat a Notre Dame team who was ranked but has obviously fallen out or has fallen down 13 spots and are currently at 18. But got to give a shout out to those Huskies over there of Northern Illinois just being able to crack the top 25. I did not have that on my bingo card in college football, so that was pretty cool. I feel like Paul and I may have jinxed Notre Dame a little bit because we were singing the praises of Marcus Freeman and, oh, he's such a good coach for Notre Dame. But when I was going through some of the blogs and stuff, apparently there were some pretty bad play calls that could have decided the game and ultimately was a detriment to Notre Dame in that game, falling to Northern Illinois. But nonetheless, Northern Illinois is there in the top 25, and actually Boise State did receive votes to potentially be in the top 25, receiving votes 77. Even UNLV received 7 votes, so a couple of top teams in the Mountain West are in consideration so far to be in the AP top 25. But Northern Illinois, hashtag that could be us.
Yeah, we just gotta get wins. But Notre Dame, I don't know. I don't drink the Notre Dame Kool-Aid. I think their days of being a football power are over, unless they join a conference, right? Because one of the great things about being a conference is that you kind of know your opponents. And then you can kind of track them. But when you're independent, you're like trying to focus and trying to schedule games and trying to focus on everything. And I don't know. I never got the hype with Notre Dame. Going back to Michigan, though, it's going to be a rough year for Michigan. I know I'm a Jim Harbaugh realist, but it's Texas is the real deal. But maybe, Michigan will be back there. But I feel like I'm going to call right now, Michigan will lose to Ohio State this year, and it's going to suck.
I don't think you're being Nostradamus by any means there. I think that's kind of everybody has a feeling that this isn't one of those years where, yeah, we can go back to the days that are maybe like 10 years ago where Ohio State, it's like an automatic win in that rivalry where Ohio State is always going to be Michigan. This is going to be one of those years where we go back to those days. So nice try, Michael, with calling it now, but I can't give you that one.
Well, last time I predicted something on the show back in June 13, I said the Rams would beat the Lions on Sunday Night Football, and we see where that came from. So maybe it's reverse psychology, reverse juju, reverse karma, whatever you maybe call it. But yeah, right now I am 0 for 1 in my predictions on the show.
I don't think so, but it's okay. Well, I predicted it, so that means it's going to happen. There you go. That means it's going to happen. But Tennessee is also being a sneaky good team. Nico Yamaleava. Every time I try to say it fast, it's like,
Yamaleava.
Yamaleava. There we go. He looks like solid so far under center for Tennessee. But as we mentioned, Quinn Ewers is the new favorite to win the Heisman over there for Texas. It's kind of interesting, and I feel like that's somewhat the NIL money at play for a big school for once, because it feels like we were so long without Texas being actually like a competitor in college football, and now they're there sitting at number 2 in the AP top 25, only behind Georgia. But it's been an interesting first couple of weeks so far.
Because they got some Hawaii boys on that Texas team.
I know. And just like Nebraska.
Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, like that's what's going to be the truth, right? If you want to get better, you go recruit Hawaii. And, shout out all our local boys out there that are making an impact.
Oh, yeah, always. Like we said earlier, Darius Muasau getting his first interception. Want to make sure we remind our listeners that maybe are just tuning in right now as we are wrapping up the show that Darius Muasau, Mililani grad and former UH and UCLA linebacker, got his first interception over the weekend, even though the Giants did lose to the Vikings. Hey, we're going to celebrate Darius for getting his first NFL interception and also being second in tackles for that Giants defense, which also says a lot. So I think we can say it's fair to assume that he's acclimating just fine to the NFL so far. So we continue to give you updates on our local players doing big things on the continent. But before we go, is there any games that maybe you're looking for, aside from the Hawaii game, but any games you're looking forward to that are coming up this week potentially in college football?
College football, not too much. I think for everyone here, college football is kind of like lower on my radar. I'm more of a high school and NFL guy, so college football not too much.
What? I thought you were going to say something else. You kept looking at the camera. I was like, Michael's throwing me off here. I'm like, he's looking at the camera, but I don't know if he's like still saying something or whatnot. I don't know. I follow everything. This is when it kind of gets distracted, especially like yesterday when I actually had something to do on Sunday. So I didn't get to watch a lot of NFL games. Fortunately, the Bears played in the morning and won, so it went fine. But other than that, I think for me, like especially this year, keeping track of college football, it's more than I used to, because I feel like the expectation is for Hawaii to do really well this year, and also just following the other teams in the Mountain West and see how that stacks up. So that's why I'm really closely following some of the other teams in the Mountain West to see how things shake up and when Hawaii potentially has to play some of those opponents. So I think I'm more fascinated than ever on the college football landscape. But anywho, we got to go. So for Michael Lasquero, I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani. Mahalo for listening. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye!
Home of the Dallas Cowboys, KGU AM, K236CR, Honolulu is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760.
From the Salem News Center, I'm Chaz Ontai. The Hawaii Nurses Association is filing an injunction to stop Kapi'olani Medical Center for women and children from locking up